So, have you applied for a job recently? If you have, did you ever stop and think, what actually happens after you hit submit? Because these days, long before a human recruiter might even see your application, well, artificial intelligence could have already scanned your resume.
Yeah, or analyze your video interview answers.
Right. Or maybe even sized up your cognitive skills through, believe it or not,
As
games.
they come.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really peeling back the curtain. We've got a stack of sources here detailing how AI is, well, fundamentally reshaping the whole hiring process. And our mission in this deep dive is to unpack all this material. We want to understand what's really going on behind the scenes, how these AI systems actually work.
And crucially, what it all means for you, the job seeker, trying to navigate this new landscape.
It's a huge shift, isn't it? AI is seriously changing the recruitment game.
Oh, absolutely. Recruiters are leaning on these tools for sourcing, screening, evaluating candidates. And the speed, the scale, it's just unprecedented.
So it's not quite the, robots taking all the jobs headline you sometimes see.
Not exactly. I mean, the core idea, really, is that AI enhances human abilities. It helps recruiters find talent more effectively and, crucially, streamlines those incredibly time-consuming tasks.
Yeah, the stuff that used to feel like wading through quicksand. Right.
Precisely. Makes the whole process less of a bottleneck.
Okay, that makes sense. Using tech to handle the sheer volume.
Oh,
So what does this look like in practice? Like, what are the actual ways AI is popping up?
well, it's pretty multifaceted. You've got automated screening. That's probably the most common use right now.
Right.
But then there's also AI analysis of video interviews,
Mhm.
which is becoming more frequent.
Okay.
And those game-based assessments you mentioned are popping up more. Plus, even predictive modeling, trying to figure out who's likely to succeed in a role.
Let's zoom in on that first step, then submitting the application. That feeling resumes just vanish into a black hole. How's AI changing that screening part?
Yeah, the black hole feeling is real. Instead of a person manually slogging through maybe thousands of applications.
Thousands.
Exactly. AI systems can process them, almost instantly. They use pretty complex algorithms to score resumes, cover letters, even those initial application questions, all based on the job criteria.
Hmm.
Think of platforms like Workable. Our sources mention their AI screening assistant. It actually scores candidates and gives the recruiter a summary of how well they seem to fit the job.
Okay, but is this just like fancy keyword matching? Do I just need to cram my resume full of buzzwords from the job description? Is that the trick?
Ah, that's the common misconception. And maybe it started that way, but it's evolved quite a bit. It's really moved beyond simple keyword density.
Oh, so.
These systems are designed to understand context. They look at the relevance of your experience, not just your job title. They try to figure out how your skills might transfer to a different role. They look for patterns in your career path, how your skills have grown. And get this, some systems even try to pick up on potential indicators of cultural fit based on the language you use in your application materials.
Whoa, cultural fit from language.
Yeah. The ultimate goal is to assess a deeper compatibility, something beyond just matching specific words on a page. It's trying to grasp the story your resume tells.
Wow, okay. That feels, well, definitely more sophisticated, maybe a little intimidating too. So it screens applications. What about the interview stage? Video interviews were already a thing, but now AI is watching those too.
Absolutely. Video interviews aren't just about recording anymore. They're data collection points now. HireVue is a big name here, a pioneer. Apparently, they've been using AI since around 2013 to analyze recorded candidate responses.
What are they analyzing? Just my answers.
Well, not just the words. Their
Ex-
systems look at multiple things. Yes, the verbal content is key, what you say,
Yeah.
but also facial expressions and vocal patterns.
Facial expressions, vocal patterns. Seriously.
hmm The aim, according to them, is to use these cues alongside your answers to predict which candidates might be the highest performers in that specific role.
Wow. Analyzing facial expressions. That does sound pretty intense. Like, are you supposed to sit there trying to make the right micro expressions for a bot?
Yeah, it's a concern people raise. The platforms often try to mitigate that feeling, though. They usually offer practice questions, so you can get comfortable with the tech first.
Okay, that's good.
And there are usually time limits for preparing and recording answers, which helps standardize things across candidates. It's also used globally, supports lots of languages, English, Spanish, Japanese, German,
Right.
which shows how widespread it is. The stated intent is consistency and efficiency.
Yeah.
But yeah, the nonverbal analysis part definitely raises eyebrows for job seekers.
Yeah, it really does. Makes you think hard about presentation. Okay, now the one that sounds maybe the most futuristic or, I don't know, possibly even fun, game-based assessments. Companies are asking people to play games.
This is definitely one of the more innovative approaches we saw in the sources. And it's designed to measure a totally different set of things.
Okay.
Instead of like standard personality questionnaires, you
Yeah.
play these short games. And these games capture data about your cognitive traits, your social tendencies, behavioral patterns.
Okay.
Pymetrics is a major player here. They have a suite of, I think, 12 quick games. Each one's only like 1 to 3 minutes. The whole thing takes maybe 25, 30 minutes total.
So what are these games actually measuring? Reaction time?
Yeah.
Puzzles?
It's based on decades of neuroscience research, actually. They assess over 70 different traits.
70? Like what?
Things like memory, planning ability, how you sequence tasks, your attention span, risk tolerance, how sensitive you are to rewards, emotional sensitivity, even things like trust.
Wow.
And the really fascinating part, I think, is that there aren't right or wrong answers in the typical sense. You're not trying to get a high score. The games capture data on how you approach decisions and tasks. It reflects your natural behavioral style.
So it's less about being good at the game itself and more about revealing how you think or approach risk.
Exactly. Then the system takes that behavioral profile from your gameplay
Yeah.
and compares it to the profiles of employees who were already successful in that specific role at that specific company.
Ah, okay. Benchmarking against current top performers.
Right. And based on that comparison, it spits out a recommendation. Often something simple like highly recommend, or do not recommend. It's a totally different lens for assessing potential. Goes way beyond resumes or even standard interviews.
That is a huge departure. Okay, so we've covered the different ways AI is being used, screening, video, games. What about the actual tools companies are using, the platforms?
Yeah, the sources highlighted several key ones. They range from these big, comprehensive suites to really specialized tools for specific tasks.
So if a company wants like an all-in-one solution, what are they looking at?
Workable, which we mentioned for screening, kind of positions itself that way,
Yeah.
a full funnel platform. Beyond screening, it offers things like AI tools to help write job descriptions, salary estimators for places like the US and UK, access to huge talent pools, like 400 million profiles or something,
Wow.
posting to hundreds of job sites. And they also include features aimed at bias reduction, like anonymizing candidate details early on.
Sounds good, but is there a catch?
Well, like a lot of these big enterprise tools, some of the more advanced features might cost extra. That's pretty common.
Right, the add-ons. Okay, what about tools just focused on finding people, the sourcing part?
Yeah, that's a big area too. Platforms like FindDem are interesting there. They talk about attribute-driven AI.
Attribute-driven, what does that mean?
Instead of just keywords, they pull data from tons of public sources, LinkedIn, GitHub, professional directories, you name it. They build these incredibly detailed profiles on like 750 million potential candidates worldwide.
Good grief, that's a lot of data.
It lets recruiters source people based on really specific attributes, maybe demonstrated achievements, unique skill combinations, things that lead to much more precise searching than just, typing keywords into a database.
So it's like a superpowered talent detective using very specific clues.
That's a good way to put it. HireEZ is another big one in sourcing. Also uses AI for candidate recommendations, automating outreach emails.
Ah, the automated emails.
Yeah. They're notable, too, because they allow filtering by characteristics like gender or race ethnicity, specifically to help companies with their diversity hiring goals. And they offer things like unlimited automated follow-ups.
And limited follow-ups sound potentially annoying for the candidate.
Recruiters seem to find it useful, let's put it that way.
Huh. Okay. What about companies hiring loads of people quickly, high-volume roles? Is their AI specialized for that kind of scale?
Definitely. Humanly.io is geared towards that. Their focus is automating the really repetitive tasks that slow down high-volume hiring.
Like what?
Things like asking those initial screening questions, scheduling interviews, chasing down references, re-engaging candidates who dropped off.
The busy work.
Exactly. They use generative AI for messaging candidates, but crucially, they make sure a human recruiter can step in anytime. They also integrate with hundreds of existing applicant tracking systems, ATS platforms like Bullhorn, ADP, Greenhouse, which makes it easier for companies to adopt. They even have a Chrome extension for sourcing on the fly.
Handy. And of course, you can't talk about professional connections without mentioning the giant in the room. LinkedIn. How is AI changing things there for recruiters?
Right. LinkedIn's rolled out AI-assisted search directly into their main recruiter tools. It uses generative AI and leverages their absolutely massive data set. over a billion professionals, 65 million companies, something like 40,000 defined skills.
Just incredible scale.
And the big shift is moving away from needing those complex Boolean search strings. The ANDs and ORs and NOTs.
Oh, yeah, those can be tricky.
Now, recruiters can use natural language. They can literally type something conversational, like, find animators in Seattle with experience in the entertainment industry. The AI understands that and finds relevant people, even helps build project lists.
That's a huge improvement in usability, just making it more intuitive. Okay, so it seems AI is making finding candidates easier, analyzing them in new ways. We've covered the techniques, the tools. What's the big picture? What are the overall pros and cons here?
Well, on the pro side, the efficiency and scale are just undeniable, right? Processing thousands of applications super quickly lets companies handle volumes they simply couldn't before.
Okay, speed and scale, check. What about the bias question we touched on? Can AI actually help reduce bias, or is that just wishful thinking?
That's such a critical question, and yeah, the sources really get into this. The answer is it can, potentially, but it massively depends on how the AI is built and used. Well, platforms like Pymetrics, for example, they actively audit their success profiles, those benchmarks they compare candidates against. They specifically look for and try to remove potential gender, racial, or ethnic bias using statistical methods aligned with things like EEOC criteria in the U.S.
Okay, so they're actively trying to clean the data or the model.
Right. And by focusing on underlying traits, cognitive, behavioral, rather than historical markers that might carry bias, like where you went to school or your previous company,
Right.
the potential is there to level the playing field. It could lead to fairer outcomes.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
But yeah, if the data used to train the AI is biased in the first place, or if the algorithms themselves are poorly designed or aren't audited properly, AI can just as easily bake in or even amplify existing societal biases.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out, amplify.
Exactly. So it's a potential pro, but with a huge asterisk. It needs really intentional design, ongoing auditing, and constant vigilance. It's not automatic fairness.
Okay, so bias reduction is a maybe, if done right. What other downsides or limitations are there?
Well, there are practical hurdles. We mentioned the extra fees for some features. Accessibility is another big one highlighted in the sources.
How so?
For Pymetrics, for instance, while they try to offer accommodations, it requires special arrangements if a candidate is blind or has hand coordination issues that prevent using a mouse easily. And apparently, it lacks tablet support, so you need access to a computer.
That's a really important point. We can't have these tools creating new barriers while trying to solve old ones.
Absolutely. And then there are challenges for the companies themselves adopting this tech.
Like what? It's not just plug and play?
Not usually, no.
Yeah.
Implementing AI often means integrating it with existing systems, maybe older applicant tracking systems, which can be technically tricky.
Right.
HR teams, recruiters, they all need training to use these tools effectively, to understand the outputs. Companies might even need to rethink their whole hiring workflow to make the most of it. It's a change management process.
And there's the risk. The risk that people just start trusting the AI blindly, right? Just click accept on the recommendation.
That is perhaps the biggest single risk highlighted across the board. Effective AI hiring absolutely, positively requires human oversight. The AI gives you data, it gives you recommendations, maybe scores, but human judgment is still essential. You need people to interpret the results, consider context the AI might miss, like a career gap explained in a cover letter, and ultimately make the final hiring decision.
So it's a tool, not the decision maker.
Exactly. It's meant to augment human judgment, not replace it.
Mm.
Just blindly following the algorithm is a massive pitfall.
That makes a lot of sense. The AI provides better information, maybe, but a human still needs to weigh it and decide. Okay, so switching gears to the person listening right now. If you're a job seeker facing these AI systems, what can you actually do? What are the practical tips?
Based on what we've seen in these sources, there are a few key takeaways.
Okay, give us tip number 1.
Optimize your application materials, your resume, your cover letter for both audiences, the AI and the human reviewer.
Dual purpose.
Well, yes, you probably do need to incorporate relevant keywords and skills that the AI screening systems are trained to look for. That's table stakes now. But critically, don't just do that. Your documents still need to read clearly, flow naturally, and tell a compelling story that resonates with a human recruiter when, hopefully, it lands on their desk. Don't sacrifice readability for keywords.
Okay, write for the bot, but make sure a human likes it too. Got it. Tip number 2.
Prepare specifically for the different AI assessment formats you might face. Know what you're walking into.
Meaning?
If you get invited to one of those AI-powered video interviews, remember, it might be analyzing not just what you say, but how you say it, tone, maybe expressions. Be aware of that.
Right.
If you face a game-based assessment, understand its purpose, measuring underlying cognitive and behavioral traits, not just getting a high score. And definitely take advantage of any practice sessions the platform offers. Getting familiar reduces anxiety and lets your actual abilities shine through.
Good advice. Practice helps. Okay, and tip number 3.
This might sound simple, but be authentic while also being strategically aware.
What do you mean by that?
Especially with those behavioral assessments like the games, trying to game the system is often pointless or even counterproductive.
Yeah.
They're usually designed to detect patterns over time.
So faking it is hard.
Probably.
Yeah.
So focus on presenting your genuine qualifications, your real personality. But do it while being mindful that your interactions, your responses, your gameplay, it's all being evaluated in these new ways by AI systems. Just having that awareness is helpful.
Be yourself, but know you're being watched, maybe analyzed in new ways. Okay, so to kind of wrap up this deep dive, AI is clearly, undeniably transforming the hiring landscape, from that initial screening right through to these sophisticated assessments.
We've seen the different kinds of AI analyzing text, video, even gameplay behavior, and we've looked at some of the big platforms making it happen.
And we've explored the upsides like efficiency, maybe potential bias reduction if done carefully.
Balanced against the real challenges. Technical limits, accessibility worries, the complexity of putting these systems in place, and that crucial need for human oversight.
Yeah, that human element seems key.
And I think that leads to the most important takeaway, really, from these sources. The future here isn't about choosing between humans and AI.
It's
It's about thoughtfully combining them. Thinking of AI not as a replacement, but as an augmentation tool, something that enhances the judgment of human recruiters.
making the whole process potentially more efficient, maybe fairer, and hopefully, ultimately better at finding the right person for the right job.
Exactly. Augmentation, not automation takeover.
That idea, AI augmenting human judgment, not replacing it, that's a really powerful thought to hold on to, especially if you're navigating the job market right now. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI in hiring. If you found this helpful or interesting, please do subscribe or follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another complex topic.